Nick's tips on products featuring LiveFlow. Go to liveflow.io/sons and get a discount. It's not really an ad.
Jesus.
Hey, Nix.
Hey, Scott.
Jesus, what is this now?
Oh, people keep calling me. I hate when people call me. It drives me crazy.
Oh God, I do too. It's such a context shift for my brain when the phone rings. Like sometimes I get nervous and I don't even want to look at who's calling, because when one bad thing happens, another bad thing happens. Then you get another call with some bad news.
Well, as you know, mine says don't leave a message to send me an email. So when people call me twice, I'm like, what the hell? Listen.
Our listeners know that too, yeah. Sons of CPA's bonus episode where Nix and Scott share a small but useful piece of practical advice as it relates to running their professional accounting firms. Brought to you by LiveFlow and the letter P.
This is our first product feature. Special episodes just on products or apps. So, I'm excited we're doing this because I love testing out apps, and I always thought that it would be fun to start a YouTube channel or something where I just review apps all day. So this is a perfect platform to finally do this.
I don't think we could do it all day. We got work to do too, but we could definitely spend time doing this because I love talking about apps. We do it, and apps love listening to our Nix tips. We get a lot of listens from our fellow app vendors and software providers.
I love our app vendors because they're trying to make our jobs easier.
And is that their name now? App vendors, not partners?
App vendors.
The new
Shit.
AVs?
They're vendors until they're partners.
They're the AVs, the AVPs, the app vendor partners. So LiveFlow is something that they were a sponsor to the Sons of CPAs. You heard the ad. What did you think?
Actually, I heard the ad first. No, I heard on not Sons of CPAs. I heard on Cloud Accounting Podcast that they had raised some money. And so I looked them up because I was curious. I hadn't heard their name before. And so if you don't know what LiveFlow is, it is a Google Sheets add-on. So I've been using it for about a month now.
What is Google Sheets?
Yeah, so I think it's important to first talk about why you should use Google Sheets if you're not already using Google Sheets.
It's the alternative to Excel, right? It's Google's version of Excel. What's different about it?
Well, we don't even use Excel anymore at our firm. We've got our whole, like, everything's on Google Sheets or Google Docs. We're all fully in the cloud. And the thing I like about Google Sheets is it's very collaborative. So our clients can access it even if they don't use Google Workspace as if they use like Office 365 instead of Google Workspace, they can still access it through another Gmail account. So it's really easy for clients to access it and then just like bookmark it on their Chrome browser. So what I started doing is creating a Google Sheet called Homebase, and it has a link to all their financial statements, to their forecasts, to open items, to AP aging, AR aging. When I onboard them, I just say, hey, just start this one Google Sheet, and then it has a link to all those other things.
Oh, wow. So I love that because anybody just sends you their version. Like I was working with a new financial advisor, and they just sent me a link for something that I had to go into. I didn't even know or care what the platform was. I just wanted to access everything and review it. And it was pretty easy, it's an easy platform. This has nothing to do with that, but from a client's perspective, what you're doing is hand delivering them everything they need, and they can just bookmark it, and that's their access to the work you're doing too in real time.
Yeah, they don't have to log into it or anything. Once they open their computer, they're able to access it immediately.
Yeah. Do you worry about security doing something like that?
I mean, that's up to them, right? Because only they can see that sheet. They're invited into it. And if they want to log out of their Google every day at the end of every day when they close down their computer. It's up to them to keep that secure.
Yeah. So it's just like anything else. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to frame that conversation because accountants love Excel, but Google Sheets is basically Excel now. There's not that much that you can't do on Google Sheets. And we used to have that problem too. A lot of my team, they preferred Excel over Google Sheets until they realized that Google Sheets in some cases is a lot better. Again, it's like more collaborative. We like it a lot because it's just a lot more, I feel like the interface is a bit more intuitive once you get into it, and there's different things you can do, like being able to drag cells from one to another. I love that I can do that. I can highlight a whole bunch of rows and drag them lower on there without having to cut and paste it and all that. I don't think you can really do that in Excel.
Yeah, we're not building crazy models or doing anything that you can't do in Google Sheets. I mean,
yeah.
There's some people that love Excel. I will say the one thing that people who are really good with Excel, I think the shortcuts aren't as good in Google Sheets, but I never learned those anyway, so it doesn't affect me. Nice not having to deal with different versions and attaching an Excel document and sending it to a client, and then if they want to make any changes, then they have to download it, put their comments, send it back, and it's just messy.
So let's find our fellow Excel jockeys out there, and we can do Nick's tips on pivot tables. We can do pivot tables.
Just see me try to make a pivot table. I'm like, Google how to make a pivot table,
and it'll tell you exactly how. That's what I always do. Like if I have to figure out how to do some of those things, I'm just like, I Google it, and then they show you exactly how to do it in Google Sheets. It's
exactly
perfectly easy. So let's talk about saving some time with LiveFlow. So you heard it. But you heard about it
actually,
somewhere else.
You know what? I did finally go. I first heard about it through cloud accounting, but I actually didn't start using it until Sons of CPAs when it was an ad. Cool. That is a fact, actually.
Well, that's the whole point of these ads. It's just brand awareness. It's not necessarily going to drive you there, but in this case, it did. And in this case, they got a new user. So we've got a LiveFlow user here on the line, Miss Nicole McKenzie of Momentum Accounting, and she's going to tell us what's so great about LiveFlow, what she loves about it, because I was interested to hear this too, because it sounds like it changed the game for you a little bit.
Yes, I love it. If you've ever heard of GACon or Genius Sheets, it's kind of like that. It's a competitor too, but I can.
You said Genius Sheets and GACon? I thought you were talking about a rapper.
Yeah, I don't know. GACon's kind of a strange name. Yeah. But I'll tell you how I'm using LiveFlow and what I like about it. So I'm using it for a handful of different use cases. So for all of our clients, we create these month-end workbooks for a month-end close. So it's in a Google Sheet, and each balance sheet item has a tab in the Google Sheet that is the work paper that ties out the balance sheet balance. So the way I have it flowing in is I connect it to when we're setting up a new client, I connect it to LiveFlow. I bring in the balance sheet, the P&L, the AP aging, AR aging, and this is all live data from QBO. So it only connects. It only syncs with QBO right now. Currently, unfortunately, no Xero yet.
Yeah, that would be big for us. So what problem was it solving, though? Let's talk about that. I mean, I understand what you're doing with it, but what problem was it solving?
We were previously doing a lot of copying and pasting. So downloading the P&L, downloading the balance sheet, downloading the AP aging, AR aging. So our process is that the bookkeeper or preparer goes in, does the month-end close, and then this is like their self-check to make sure everything ties out.
Okay.
Right? So if you have a prepaid schedule, the prepaid schedule ties to the balance sheet.
Oh, God, I know that. I hate the copy and pasting. We do that now. Yeah.
And so if you think about it, you can automate anything in the GL detail. You can automate AP aging, AR aging, because that's one thing that I also, like, let's say I'm the reviewer. I go in there and make sure there's nothing weird. Like, you know how sometimes you go into AP aging and there's a Gusto transaction over there and you're like, what did you do? You didn't reconcile it or close it out or something weird is happening here. So my goal with the workbooks is so that whoever the accounting manager reviewer is can go in there and review a month-end file in 15 minutes because the bookkeeper has done all the work and done their own self-check.
So that's automation with an exclamation mark.
Yes. So in the work paper, let's say it's a prepaid schedule and you have January, February, March, April, May, June, all across the top as a column. You can compare that to the balance sheet, the live data, and it will tell you if there's a variance.
Really?
If anybody wants to see my workbook, let me know. I can show it to you. I spent a lot of time making this, and I think it's pretty dope. And we're about to roll it out. So I have done it on the last 3 clients we onboarded, so we're about to roll it out with all of our other clients. But it saves a lot of time using LiveFlow.
Dope books.
Okay.
Dopebooks.com.
So automating month-end close, number 1 use case. Second use case, I built out a forecast in Google Sheets, and the live data from
No way.
QBO comes in, right? The actuals. So let's say I build a forecast out and then something in the accounting changes. I'm reviewing the accounting and we have to update something. What would you have to do? You'd have to copy.
Yes.
You'd have to copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. You just literally hit the little button and it refreshes everything. So you can see the numbers change in front of you.
That's brilliant. When so LivePlan does do that in any. I mean, LivePlan and LiveFlow. This could get very confusing.
Yes, Ashley kept calling it LivePlan. I'm like, no, it's LiveFlow.
Yeah. So LiveFlow and LivePlan. One's with a P and one's with an F. Remember, we got to get our letters right. So LivePlan just recently added that last year. Like this was something new. Like, shouldn't we always be able to see, actual and forecast data after the actual already happened? And that wasn't very common. There wasn't the ability to do that. They have the ability to do that now. So you doing that on your sheet is much more malleable. You can do whatever else you want on that same sheet, right?
Right. And what I love about it is there's no learning curve. Anybody on your team, you don't have to go learn another software. Everyone knows how to use Google Sheets already, and the extension is super easy to use. The other thing you can do is you can drill down on GL detail. So if I'm reviewing a P&L and I see like a large variance or something, I never have to open QuickBooks to review anything. I go straight to the Google Sheet. I can drill down on that GL detail inside Google Sheets because of the extension.
Oh, wow. That is pretty fucking cool. So let's say you got a client that has 2 businesses or 2 different QuickBooks files.
Yes, you can. That's one use case. I haven't done that, but that's one use case that they talk about. A lot of their customer uses consolidations because you can connect multiple QBO files.
So here's what I want to do with it. It doesn't work with Xero yet, but if it does, I want to be able to pull data from multiple Xero files. So take our client base that is construction businesses and basically create some form of benchmarking dashboard internally, right? Mm-hmm. So any business that is similar internally across our client bases, create like a benchmarking dashboard, either for us to use, for us to review that data over time, or that we can package up and give to the clients, mask whose it is and just give them our own little benchmarks. Yeah, that would be really cool. I don't think that's like intended use case, but if once you build that, it automatically updates.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about it is you can build anything you want with it. And when we were talking to Anita, she was just talking about how a lot of the customers everyone had their own use case for it, which is very cool. And then speaking of so when you talk about KPIs and dashboarding, so what we ended up doing was taking the forecast and then using Reach reporting, because Reach reporting has a Google Sheets integration. It will pull in live data from Google Sheets.
Wow.
And visualize it.
You've got a lot of bridges happening.
Yeah, it's like weird. It goes from QBO through LiveFlow and then back into Google Sheets then into Reach. And then the Reach reporting is just a live link too. So I put the link to Reach reporting in the Google Sheet as like part of the menu of items.
That's a interesting use case that you could package up and tell people you got to get Reach, got to get LiveFlow. You got to have QuickBooks in this case and Google Docs. You're patching things together to make it work for you. And that's true automation. And that's also very ingenuity. I don't know what kind of word I want to use there, but that's...
The dashboard thing is something I've been working on for 2 years. So it's like we finally hacked it and did it. And I was like, so excited. Like the client can go onto Google Sheets right now and add a new customer in the pipeline, and the forecast will update on the Reach dashboard. Like, it's so cool.
Wow. You're a programmer.
I'm
You're
not.
a
Michael, my brother does everything
coder.
in
Yeah.
Reach. By the way, if anybody wants to add on dashboarding, let me know because my brother's really good at Reach. He works there, but he also works for us. And he's kind of like the bridge between me because I just built out the KPIs on the sheet. So I took all the KPIs that I wanted to see and I summarized them on like a summary page. And then that's the report that he plugged into and then rebuilt in visual graphs. So it's pretty cool looking.
Nick's
I
tips
sent it
on
to you.
products.
Did you look at it?
Yeah, Nick's tips on products featuring Reach coming soon.
Yeah.
Dot. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a couple use cases. Another thing you could use it for is just basic reporting. You don't even have to do forecasts. Let's say you just want to present the P&L, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement every month to your client. Just give them the Google Sheet, have it bookmark, and be like, you don't have to log on to QuickBooks. You just go to this Google Sheet. Everything's there. You could have a summary page where you have some KPIs like their gross profit margin, net profit margin, whatever, anything that you want to build formulaic there. It would all be like live data.
Yeah, I mean, that was the major use case or problem that Wayne Chang said Digits was solving. I listened to a recent interview with Blake and Wayne Chang, and he said that Digits, the biggest problem they were solving was the time it took accountants to create reporting packages. Mm-hmm. Like the time it took and the time that they were saving to put the reports together. You've basically automated that with LiveFlow. It sounds like so. Is LiveFlow worth $600 million?
I think that people should build more Google Sheets add-ons, and because guess what? You need to meet the accountants where they're at. And I feel like all these reporting apps it's a separate app that you have to learn. And it's challenging, not like it's, a lot of the bigger firms, they have resources where they can allocate one person to learn this app and be an expert in it. But for smaller firms, it's really hard to implement something like to learn. One person has to learn it and then they have to go and teach the rest of the team to learn it and then implement it. And it's challenging. So to be able to meet us where we're at, it's just a lot easier to get started, right, as a first step.
Yeah. Well, guess what? They did meet you where you were at. Like that's pretty dope.
Yeah. And Reach Reporting has, I know this is about Reach Reporting, but Reach Reporting now has a Gusto integration. So we can also combine, we can take the forecast data from LiveFlow. So they each have their own use case, right? But they're both very powerful at what they can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear some of these other use cases too. So
a couple more use cases here. If you're managing AP or AR for your clients, which we do for a lot of our clients, and so there's always this like, hey, here's the updated AP aging or the AR aging, so the client knows who they need to track down for collections. Now they can just have a live AR aging report. You can collaborate. You can take notes. Let's say you call a customer and they're like, hey, they're going to pay me on this day. The client can go in there and type a note next to the invoice on the AR aging schedule. And the cool thing about LiveFlow is that it does not override any formulas or comments that you make outside of the range of the cells. Let's say you refresh it, it doesn't override the formulas on that same tab, which some other of its competitors do.
Wait, so it just does a selective cells? Or what,
yeah, so let's say you have your P&L and then on a column on the right you have formulas and then you refresh it with new data, it doesn't override the cells with the formulas in it.
Really?
Yeah, that's the best part.
Does it override anything else? Like if you did select the area of the cells with the formulas, is it going to override other numbers? Or
no, the only thing it will override is the actual data that it's bringing in. Like if you had January and February actuals and then you like typed over
and you had
a
the
number
formulas.
in it, which we wouldn't do that.
And if you had graphics in there, if you were using the Google Sheets and you used the graphics there, then it would still feed into that too.
Yeah. Some people use like Google Data Studio, or you can build your own graphs if you're really sophisticated in G Sheets.
Wow, that's visual, that's automation. This is the future of accounting, I guess. This is the future of advising. This is, we're in it.
Yeah. The other thing I thought you could possibly use it for that I haven't done yet is if you wanted to use it to collaborate with your clients on uncategorized transactions that you needed questions on. you could probably you can pull into GL detail right now. So you could probably pull that range of data for whatever account you code it to, and then have that pull through. So then you can have the client add comments on it.
Oh, that's
so
pretty
you could
cool.
have that as part of your like package or something that they go do and part of the process and be like, hey, your books are up to date. Can you update these?
Coming soon. Nick's tips on packages, packaging products, processes. Cool. You got any other tips or use cases? That's a good name for this. You could call
What?
it Nick's tips.
Nick's tips. That is the name.
I just said, do you have any other tips? And I just like
Nick's
it
pips.
occurred to me. Yeah.
Keep the
Pips.
going.
Somebody said pips. What is a pip?
I don't know. Pipsqueak?
Performance. No. They said something like it was a performance improvement plan. And that a lot of accounting firms use these pips. And they say, we're going to have to get you on a pip. If you don't track your time well or you're not doing well, you're going to get you on a pip.
Sounds like something Will Lopez would say now that he's been at Gusto. He always uses all these acronyms.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to do Nick's tips on pips one day. We'll have somebody come in and explain to us what a pip is or the PTSD that they've had on pips. We can do Nick's tips on PTSD.
PIMP.
So I just got back from Ponte Vedra. That's another P word. With a bunch of Paget offices. Ponte Vedra with Paget.
Where's that? It sounds nice.
It is in Jacksonville or kind of near it. It's
Florida?
Florida, yeah. Really nice little place. I think it mostly is meant for old people. I mean, it was nice. I played some golf and stuff. It was pretty cool, but it was an older country club. It was established in 1928. I had a good time there, though. Got to see some of our friends, so that was fun. Not as it relates to products or LiveFlow in this conversation, but I kind of switched the gears. I'm not even high right now, and I'm talking like I am. What's going on here? I haven't even smoked today. This is an interesting episode here. So I love that we're doing this because I got some inspiration from. I didn't even realize that this was tied in or similar, but we've fit it like a glove to be able to talk about different products, and it's just very similar to our friends Heather Satterley and Liz Scott, where they do Appy Hour. They have a channel of Appy Hour, so any of our listeners haven't heard of that, check that out. They take they take an app, and then they make a special drink dedicated to that app, and they drink it, and they talk about the app. I think it's brilliant. I love it.
See, all these, so drink while you think, Appy Hour, I feel like we need to
So
add.
we
need to add drinking to ours. If we did it like an hour later.
Do
for
smoking. Me. Can we get high?
Well, you smoke, I'll drink.
All right. Yeah, we'll do
Maybe we
that.
should start
See,
doing
but you don't need to drink, though. Like, nobody really needs to drink to do any of this stuff. You're still fun. When
if I drink, I get really loud when I drink, apparently.
Yeah, and you don't want to be loud on this. You're going to hurt people's ears, right? Like you get loud enough when we talk sometimes. Like you get excited earlier in this episode, like 5-10 minutes ago. You got really pumped up.
Really passionate.
Yeah, passion. That's a P word. We'll do Nick's tips on passion. Nick's tips on pornography too, right? That's my interesting vertical that I'm going to get into.
Yeah, I think so. The cannabis one, I would just be
cannabis one.
careful.
I can't do yet. I'm ready for the cannabis one, but it's not legal.
California if you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Also, you don't want to mess with those clients. They're a pain in the ass. They do everything with cash. Yeah, everything's cash. I mean, a lot of them.
C words here: cannabis, cash.
Yeah, I think the OnlyFans play makes sense. That seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, with OnlyFans, I still think that'll be individuals that might be only making like 70, 80,000 a year in a lot of cases. Like I know there's one that made 57
the Cash
million.
Me Outside girl, yeah.
Yeah, but that's not all of them. You know, so the overwhelming majority. Maybe there are. Like we can do a base of if you make 200,000 or 300,000. You know, that's our client base. So we have like a minimum. But we already have
only
one.
the prestige OnlyFan. And you know they're going to be the better looking people anyway.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to work with good-looking
They're
clients,
making
right?
under 70K. You don't want to look at them. They're gonna be like the Tuesday night strippers.
We could just judge books by their cover, right? That's an Abercrombie and Fitch move right there. Shit. I just watched that special, Abercrombie and Fitch, like the White Hot on Netflix. Have you seen that?
No, I'm writing it
Oh
down.
man, you'd like it. It was good. Like, I mean, you grew up in that
I
era
grew up
too.
with Abercrombie.
Yeah.
They always
So
used to have those male models when you walked in with their shirts off.
because the guys
Like
were
12,
gay.
like what?
That's because the guys that created it were gay. Like Mike Jeffries and the other photographer, they were both gay. So now going back and looking at all of it, you could tell, of course, that's why they had all these pictures. They were like all male models, half naked, just like weren't even wearing any clothes, and they were modeling for clothes.
That is true because there's a lot of, well, they had men and women's clothes, but I feel like
Oh
my
yeah,
memory of going in when I lived in Modesto, when I go to the Modesto Mall when I was like 12 years old, would be like these hunky, shirtless men immediately when you walked in.
yeah. And there were two. There were usually guys out front too, like in the store. Or, I don't know. It was such a interesting documentary because I mean I grew up in that era and it was just a weird like place like this dark room in the mall that smelled like a wafting strong cologne. Um,
You
that was
couldn't get that off you for multiple days. But you know what's funny? People from Europe still buy tons of Abercrombie.
I'm sure. Well, now it's rejuvenated. So at the end of the documentary, they talk about how inclusive they are now because it was very white and very much like they would not hire anybody that wasn't good looking. They had to look good to be an employee, and they had to be white. And if they were black or if they were of any other descent, they worked in the back. That was it. And this was generally accepted and promoted among people, like that's what they desired. They wanted to be like that, so they shopped there. Or if they, and it was very expensive too. It was just a really weird situation that America should look on and look at itself. Like take a hard look at what we thought was less than 10, maybe like 10 years ago.
Wow.
Maybe 10 or 15 years ago, what we how we are still, right? Like I think we're reckoning that. I don't know. I could never really afford the Abercrombie clothes. I don't think I ever owned anything there, and it's maybe because I just didn't think it was worth it. I'm too cheap anyway to buy clothes like that.
Yeah.
I like Polo though.
I buy like one article of clothing from there a year. It's like my
Yeah.
allowance.
Yeah, I used to like Polo. Now it's all Calvin Klein. That's all I wear is Calvin Klein and Nike and Jordans.
I love Nike. That's my
Yeah.
my fave. Dude, we're about to launch our new brand finally. Like in 3 weeks.
Finally, in
Finally.
3 weeks.
We're
Congratulations.
gonna launch a 3-page website because that's
I'll
as far as we
believe
got.
it. I'll believe it when I see it.
It's
but
actually
I hope
happening.
I hope that you do it. And the website doesn't even need to. Remember, we talked about this. It doesn't need to be that big. Let me just go over use cases: automate budget versus actual, consolidate P&L, reliable cell references, drill down into your reports.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a list of reports: profit and loss, balance sheet, and cash flow. Integrations, Zero coming soon. U.S. banks coming soon. That is pretty cool.
Oh.
They're going to have bank feeds into...
Oh, I hope they do that. That would be dope because then you can do cash flow forecasting
Wow, that is pretty fucking
and
cool.
just standard bank balances. Like some people just want to see their bank balance.
Please go to liveflow.io/sons. That is liveflow.io/sons. This was a paid for episode of Nick's Tips, but honestly, it wasn't that painful to listen to. I liked it. I thought it was
Yeah.
very
And,
good. And I'm not even listening to it. I'm just part of the conversation here.
and even though we got paid, I'm actually a paying user. So I actually pay LiveFlow to use the product.
Yeah. It's the truth in advertising and the truth in product feedback. If you could be critical on it yet.
Okay, yes. So my only con, which I think we should be transparent and honest about any negatives when we do these, is that it doesn't integrate with Zero yet.
Oh, I will talk shit about any app even after they pay us, but I got nothing bad to say because I haven't used it. And if you don't have anything bad to say, then don't say anything at all. And I haven't been saying much.
Yeah, I think that I know that's one of the challenges of being a Zero user is that we're always last when it comes to new apps rolling out. And that's the challenging thing about that is I understand that the apps want to be really good at one first before they move on to the next. But as a firm owner, it's like more and more firms are using both. And so you can't standardize any of your processes and go 100% in if only half of your clients are able to use this app.
So are you saying that Intuit should buy Xero?
And just shut them down? That's what Intuit would do. They would just shut Xero down.
I don't know how I feel about that.
If they bought them. But we were talking about this today in the FreshBooks advisory that we were both on earlier today.
Fresh Pack, shout out to Fresh Pack.
Yeah, we were talking about like not having all your eggs in one basket with one accounting software.
Well, that's of course they're going to say that because they
no,
want to use
like
their
we were
product.
talking about that. The accountants, I forget who said it on our group, but I agree with that because when AWS is down and we can't log on to Xero, I mean, imagine something happened to AWS.
I know.
And QuickBooks didn't go down. So, but then something could happen to QuickBooks Server, whatever they use. And then, so I think there is something to be said for hedging your bets.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I want to develop, and honestly, I have no skin in the game when it comes to one or the other. I think my team prefers not to switch context shift, right? So I really do think, and I've said this before on the pod, I think that the team should be focused. The team should have one tech stack that they use primarily, and that makes it easier for them to do their jobs. And they can become better at that and have a deeper understanding of the product, even if it's just Xero and whatever else that they use. It's kind of like having industry verticals, but verticals on software and verticals on products. You don't have to figure QuickBooks. You got to figure out where everything's at if you haven't used it in a while.
Yeah, I mean we started out with only Xero, and now we have more QuickBooks clients. But now that I'm using LiveFlow, there's more positive for QuickBooks now. I'm like, which one do we use?
Xero, wake up! Yeah. What are you gonna do, Xero? What are you gonna do? what Xero do? I feel bad for Xero almost. Like, what can they do to help that?
They should give LiveFlow some money to start developing the Xero integration.
Yeah, or Xero should develop the integration. So
or Xero can go be like, we're gonna have build it, or we're gonna create our own.
Well, Xero already does export to Google Sheets, so it exports.
Yeah, but it's not live.
Yeah, it's not live. That is true.
Yeah.
And that's all I do is export my reports to Google Sheets so I can manipulate them, because I don't even want to mess with Google Report. But they've worked so hard on trying to build their reports, and I empathize with the reporting team there because I've worked with them a lot too, and they've really tried. But it's still not something that I want to use. I've never liked Xero's reports, and I still don't.
We still use the old ones on there that are like...
Oh, God. You do 3 iterations of old, right? Like, they've even got new on top of the new.
You have to click 3 buttons to try to find the hidden old reports. I'm like, nope, I'm finding it.
I know. You got to use the stack. Oh, wow. And our team, too. Our team still uses the old reports. We're moving
toward...
You're moving away from Xero. It sounds like I'm going to miss you.
Well, what I want to do, I want to get to the point where every client has a deliverable on Reach reporting for a dashboard. So we're changing our onboarding process so that we can set up the P&L in a way that's valuable, right? So, for example, most of the time when you get a client's books, they put everything in operating expenses. So, let's pull out what's a direct versus indirect cost. Get it in a way, pull out officers' wages, put that below the line so that the owner can see what they're making before they pay themselves. Then we can do a lot more with that historical data. So at least even though it's not looking forward, they can get some KPIs on their historical, and all those formulas can be done in Reach reporting, and they can be automated. So if you have clients in one industry, you can just build a template and then theoretically plug it in, map the accounts, boom, every client gets a dashboard. And you just pay. You just say, hey, here's our minimum. It's not $750 anymore. It's $1,500 now because you get this, and that's just where we're moving.
So you've productized. You're about to productize the use of Reach too.
I'm hoping we can monetize this because let me tell you, it's been a long time coming with these dashboards, and it's.
You've put in the work.
I've put in the work, and I'm pretty good at making dashboards now. My brother and I can make some dope dashboards. So if anybody wants to add on dashboarding, another thing I thought about was would accountants would they pay for somebody else to help them be able to provide dashboards for their clients? I don't know.
We'll see. Maybe I can be your use case.
Yeah, because my brother, we could we talk about doing that, of like building out a company that would just help clients or CFOs if they are like in Excel or Google Sheets. Like let's say they're using LiveFlow and they're building out everything in Google Sheets because CFOs like to be in their sheets in Excel. We can actually then build them the visual dashboard that they can give to the client, but they can still be comfortable and use LiveFlow and QBO and have that in Google Sheets.
It's beautiful. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great deep dive into our first of many products. Nick's tips on products. Today's featuring LiveFlow.
And if anybody wants to sponsor one of these and wants me to try out your product, let us know. I'd love to.
Let us know. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter. You can listen to our podcast on any podcast player. And please leave us a 5-star review on Google because we got our first 2-star review ever. Any listener out there, especially if you left this review, you can change it. You have the power to change it to a 5-star.
A quick question. I saw the 2-star recently on there because I was reading the reviews, but there was I couldn't see. Was there a comment or anything?
They
or was
didn't
it just
write anything. No.
Okay,
no,
come on. That doesn't count. You got to
know.
write why. You got to tell us what we got to do better.
Lame,
It must
right?
have been one with Ackerman or something.
I bet you it was an Ackerman episode. It's definitely an Ackerman episode.
Or Ackerman did it.
Or Ackerman did it. He was so mad. He would be so mad. He's like, oh man, everybody likes the next tips better.
Probably after those ones where you're like talking shit about him.
I know. Maybe that might have been it too. Oh, poor guy. No, he's a good kid. He was going to record an episode by himself on Monday, but the guy didn't show up, and it's because Ackerman was in a different room, or he was in a different room. I don't know what happened. I was out of town. So the episode failed on Monday. We have to reschedule it. Oh, poor guy. He tries, right? Actually, he would not say that. He's definitely not a poor guy. He's got the ego of a champion. He thinks he's the best at everything. And maybe because he is. He's our resident Ackerman. All right. This is it. This is good. See you later.
All right. Take it easy. Bye.
Peace out.
Wow, what a great episode. And wouldn't it be great if you could earn CPE credit for that? Now you can. Visit earmarkcpe.com to sign up for free and earn free CPE credit for listening to this show. That's earmarkcpe.com.